Hello everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday, and I hope you enjoyed the music that you just got to listen to. I know some of you may have been laughing. There was some pretty funny stuff going on in the video, but whether or not you enjoyed it, I hope you found it interesting. I hope you got to know some of the instruments in the recording and got some good time to talk about it. Now, we're going to go over a couple of things. We're going to be drawing some music today. In particular, we're going to be drawing a bunch of different notes to figure out where each letter goes on the staff. We've worked with a couple things recently with music on a staff, so we're just going to get more familiar with where all those notes go. Also, some of you have noticed that sometimes the lines on the notes go up and sometimes they go down. So we're going to talk about why that happens and where it starts. So, go ahead and pick a color. You can choose whatever color you want. You can switch colors between notes like I'm going to, or you can use the same color the whole time. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to come down here and you're going to draw a line. Just a short line under the staff. Alright, this is called a ledger line. We use a ledger line when the notes don't actually fit on the staff. And the lowest note on your xylophones that we've been using is actually going to go right here. So I want you to just draw a short line. Keep in mind, as we go across this, we're going to put 8 notes in total. So don't make anything too big. Alright, so we're going to put our first note right here. And of course, our note always starts with a circle. And I'm going to color it in because we're not going to have any super long notes. If we didn't color it in, it would either be a half note or a whole note. But we're going to keep our notes short, so go ahead and color that in. And we're going to go to the right-hand side and draw a line going up. Alright, you don't need to make it, I probably made mine a little high, you can stop probably around there, but either way, as long as your note looks good, let's just keep it there. Now for the next note, we're going to go up to the space. Remember, we go line, space, line, space, space, line, space, line. Notes that are right next to each other alternate whether they're on a line or a space. So the next note, I'm going to go ahead and change my color so you can take a second to finish that other note. I'm going to go to orange. And I'm going to put my next note in this space between the line that I drew and the next line, the bottom line of our staff. Alright, so our next note should be right there. And then you're going to come over to the right-hand side again. And you're going to draw a line going up. And I'm not going to go as high as last time. I'm probably going to go around to the same place because I said this line was a little too long. So that's our next note. And if our first note was on a line and our second note was on a space, our next note is going to be back onto a line. So right here, I'm going to draw another circle. This part isn't very complicated, but we will start talking about what all these letters are after we get done with all our notes. So our next note is going to be on the next line. And just like the last one, I'm going to draw a line going up. And where's our next note going to be? Because we had our last note on a line, our next note, of course, is going to be in a space. Always remember, line, space, line, space. Okay? So that wasn't the color that I wanted to use. I'm trying to use similar colors to the Boomwhackers in case anybody is wondering. That's why this is kind of look like a rainbow. So our next note goes in this space, and usually it goes all the way from one line to another. Alright, so that's what your next note should look like. And you see I'm already kind of running out of room because I need 4 more notes over here. So make sure that your notes are kind of a little bit squished together. It's okay if you run out of room. If you can't put the last note, that's totally fine, but we're going to try and fit it in there. And we're going to have that line going up. So far we've got line, space, line, space, and our next one is going to be back on a line. It's not too complicated right now, that's why I'm trying to switch colors, just to make it look a little more interesting, make it look a little pretty. And we've got 2 more notes. I'm actually probably going to leave out the last note, but I'll show you where it goes in case you want to write it. Now, for our next note, we've gone line, space, line, space, line, space. So we've got one more note on a space. Let's go right here. And you can see I'm kind of squishing my notes a little bit more together. And this is going to be our last note that the line goes up from the right side of the note. Alright, our next note is actually going to have the line going down. And I will tell you why that is in just a second. Let me find my color for the next note. So, we got line, space, line, space, and back onto a line. And I'm going to actually take a black marker and extend my lines a little bit, just because I really did run out of room. If you're run out of room, that's totally fine. You can do the same thing I'm doing if you need to. So I extended my lines, and I'm going to put one more note on this line right here. Now, once you get to the middle line, we're actually going to start drawing our lines from the left-hand side of the note, because it's almost like you take one of these notes and you completely flip it over. So when you flip this over, this line is actually going to turn down here and going to be on the left-hand side. So, and I'm going to have this line going down. So these are all the notes I'm going to write. Of course, if you wanted to put one more note, I would go back to red, and I would put it in this space right here. Now, the reason that the line flips over, it's a really, really complicated reason, and you gotta wait for it. It's to make it look pretty. Super complicated. Yep, it's just to make it look pretty. The reason that we flip it over is because if we started going all the way up here, if we had a note like up here, our line would be going off of the page. It'd be way too high. So instead of getting everything mixed up with all our lines going up, we're just going to flip it over and put it on the bottom. The only reason is to make it look better. Because when it looks better and your music gets more complicated, it's just easier to read. So, does anybody remember what type of notes all of these are? If you said quarter notes, or if you thought quarter notes, that is the correct answer. All of these are quarter notes. If we had bars at the top like this, then they would be eighth notes. And if we had 2 bars at the top like this, they would be 16th notes. But I just stuck with quarter notes for today. Keep the notes nice and separate and all different colors. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take my black marker for this part, and I want everybody to do this. We're going to label the letters of each note. Now, you remember, the musical alphabet only has 7 letters. It goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But if anybody remembers, I don't remember exactly which classes I talked about this with, starting on A creates a sad scale, also called a minor scale. And that's not what we're doing right now. What we're using on the xylophone starts on C. So this is the very bottom note on our xylophone right here. So I'm going to label this C. And then we can kind of just say our alphabet going up. So we've got A, B would be somewhere over here, and then C, D, E, F, G. So make sure you've got all of those labeled. And then after G, there's no H's in music. After G, we're going to start all the way over. So after G, we're going to go back to A, and then we have B. So we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then if you drew this note up here in this space right above the B, that will also be C. Alright, so we've got 2 C's in our scale. Make sure that you've got all of this, and then if you want to, if you have a little more time, you can go ahead and decorate your picture a little bit. Put some water down here. Put some stars in the sky, maybe. Whatever you want to do, make it your own, and you are welcome to take these home with you. But this is going to become a little bit more important, remember, 4th and 5th grade, you've got a written test at the end of this unit. After we're done with the xylophones, we're going to take a test. It's going to be the easiest test you've ever taken, all right? But one of the answers has to do with this note. One of the questions will be, what is the bottom of our happiest scale? And all you got to remember is that it starts with C. There's a couple different ways you can remember this. One is using this picture right here. One is thinking of the bottom note on your xylophone. Everybody's xylophone, the bottom note, the very lowest note, is a C. Okay? So just keep that in mind as we move forward. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day in music and also in all your other classes. And I will see you again sometime next week. All right. Goodbye, everybody.